Aloha, friends and neighbors. Rollin Frost here, Kona Astrologer, and we're going to start show 909, right off with the sky mirror. Find out what's going on for you. One thing I can tell you right off is that we had a new moon at 8 degrees of Taurus. It sextiled Neptune. So art, music, religion, that kind of stuff, it's very in right now. This same new moon that happened at the end of April kind of diffused our Grand Cross a little bit. I say a little bit because not having the new moon on Uranus part of this Grand Cross, and now having an 8 Taurus new moon, which trines Pluto, sextiles Jupiter, sextiles Neptune, kind of takes some of the sting out of the Grand Cross. But you know, it's kind of noticeable that Mars here is moving backwards from 11 degrees back to 9 degrees, and Pluto here is at 13, and Uranus is at 14, and Jupiter's at 15. So Mars kind of begins the whole Grand Cross now. And Mars, well, you've seen the result of Mars already. Fires and fights and stabbings with the knife. So Mars is still part of this whole equation, which is moving up to 13, 14, 15. But, you know, Mars is still within orb. So what's it look like day by day? Let's check out the moon. As the moon moves around the edge of this planetary pattern, it generates the mood of the times. It's a generic mood now. It's not your chart. It's everybody in general, huh? And if you're on the Thursday night show on May 1st, you're having a pretty good day. The moon's in Gemini, starts with a nice trine to Mars. Get out and do some exercise, fix some stuff. In the middle of the day, you had a sextile to Uranus, and the technical tools are working. The machines, the electricity. You got higher knowledge from the intellect, science, not bad. Friday, the morning is fine. Works right through till the middle of the day. Here about 1 or 2 o'clock, there's a nice trine to the north node, and there's a little nurturing around, but don't be fooled, because here's a nasty old square to Venus, and it's on Friday, Vendradi, you know, Freya. Friday is Venus's day, and yet here is the moon squaring Venus. This happens around 8, 9 o'clock or so, depending on your location. So this is not the time to go on a date. No. It's not the time to expect sugar or sex or love. It's a time of some frustration. If anything, when the moon squares Venus, you'll tend to pig out. You know, instead of eating 1 candy bar, you'll eat 3 or 4. So desire, you're holding on to desire. A square is holding on to things in a neurotic way. And Friday night we're holding on to our desires and sweets in a neurotic way. Stop that. You'll get fat. Moon shifts into Cancer, and it starts feeling more zappy. You know, after that Venus square, that's in the after dinner here Friday night and late. Saturday morning the moon's still in Cancer on the 3rd, and it starts with a nice trine to Neptune and a sextile to that new moon at 8 Taurus. So Saturday morning there's music, there's church, read Jesus. Remember, when the Bible says heavens, the translation should be sky. And Jesus was a trained astrologer. Anyway, the wisdom and the knowledge is there, and it comes from the higher heart. And the higher heart is what's happening here Saturday morning. So you just go out and sit in the backyard, you'll see butterflies and little colors and hear some inner music. This is a nice time for Neptune, with a new moon sextile Neptune. But as Saturday goes on, once you get to the afternoon, here's a square to Mars. Everybody's getting angry, they're impatient, they're pissed off. Ask yourself what you're protecting. It gets worse as you go into Saturday night. Here's about 9, 10 o'clock. We have the opposition to Pluto, and there's power and control issues and territory. You know, I got one cat chasing 2 other cats off out of the house here today. It's territoriality, oh boy. So there's a zapper here too. Uranus is here at 14. That's late Saturday night, and we could have some, shakings. There could still be earthquakes and tornadoes and such. And this, just because the new moon is not accenting this, doesn't mean there's not going to be things going on. And frankly, with the moon opposing Pluto, I think that a lot of this new moon that we had here actually is a release. It's kind of like, suppose you were Pluto and you got a grand cross on you. Well, you're going to get all clogged up. It's like being constipated. The volcano is constipated. Jupiter's opposing it. Mars is squaring it. Uranus is squaring it. It's having fibrillations and cramps and big things that are stopping it. And it's been stopped for a whole month. Now comes the new moon. Just happened for you. And gosh, it trines Pluto and it releases it. Let's go. It's like taking the milk of magnesia. You got Neptune helping, and sextiles Jupiter, the big thing that's too large, gets smaller. You know what happens? Pluto has a chance to discharge, to release. So this period here, Saturday night, Sunday morning, the 3rd and the 4th of May, looks to me like you could see a lot of action here that's been kind of frozen up. This could include stuff like the 370 flight. It's been frozen up for a month. There could be discovery now. Pluto has a good side. Pluto is discovery. Besides Pele and sharks and volcanoes and mass killings and guys running around with knives in high schools and, 45s on military reservations. Kill everybody! Well, hopefully this is going to feel a little better. Some good discovery about some of these things. Mars is still squaring Pluto, though. There still could be a lot of roughness. There could be a lot of rage. There could be rage against the police, against people with guns. Yeah, and the square D, excuse me. Yeah, Saturday night, Sunday, this action here still squares Mars and Uranus. And we already had some, was that Albuquerque policeman shooting a homeless man. There could be more. These could be soldiers going after protesters. Yeah, because you let Pluto go, sometimes that's police power. And people just say, okay, I'm just going to do my way, flight or fight, kill them all, let God sort it out. We don't know what Pluto's going to do when you let loose. Kind of scary, I admit. And so you're going to have a scary Saturday night, Sunday morning. Eek, a bug! It's still happening here. And some of this could involve Mars stuff. Fires, fights, blades. So, the lawyers are trying to stop this police violence. Department of Justice, which is a bunch of lawyers going after the Albuquerque police. Hooray! Anyway, tough Saturday, Sunday, tough weekend. Sunday afternoon gets a little better. There's a trine to Saturn. We get organized. Sextile to Mercury. We start communicating, huh? That's after the middle of the day. And maybe you can forget the violence of Saturday night, Sunday morning. Continues those vibes through Monday morning, but after breakfast, the moon shifts into Leo here. When it does, there's a nice trine to Venus. And so Monday's going to be a kind of a nice day. Some sweetness is going on here. Oops, excuse me. So there could be some sweetness going on here Monday morning. You could enjoy getting back to work after that rather chaotic, horrendous weekend of the 3rd and 4th. Gets better Monday night. Actually, Tuesday morning, the moon's still in Leo. On the 6th, there's a nice sextile to Mars. And now you can handle the Martian energy. It's not anger. It's fixing things. The trine to Uranus. Wind damage, you can fix that too. Electronics, anything goes around, it's all, we can fix it all. Goes on till Tuesday about dinner time. Then there's a square to the sun and you kind of lose the the ego pressure. You lose the planning capability, and things slow down slower and slower as you go through to get to Tuesday night late around midnight. There's a square to Saturn. Everything slows down and stops. Wednesday morning, we got a square to Mercury. We're not communicating. People aren't getting around very easily. There's just plain some depression and some fear here from this square to Saturn and square to Mercury. Not too much fun. Try not to say depressive things Wednesday. It gets a little better after lunch with a sextile to the nodes. There's a little more carrying around, but it could be pretty harsh Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. You'll find you'll be harsh in your judgments too, huh? Look out. Moon in Virgo feels a little better, but on Thursday morning, the 8th of May, there's an opposition to Neptune. It's a little confusing. Straightens right up late Thursday night with the trine to Pluto. Discovery happens. We feel more powerful. And on Friday, the 9th, well, positive energy everywhere. Yes, there's a trine to the Sun, sextile to Jupiter, sextile to Mars. Good judgment. Politicians, government, business people getting the contracts done. They investigated Thursday night. They go for it Friday morning. Should be a goodie for the market. I'll bet the Dow goes up nicely. So Friday's a pretty good day, the 9th, with the moon in Virgo. Continues all the way through Saturday morning. And then about breakfast time, here we have a trine to Mercury, and we're communicating. Things look fine. And then the moon shifts into Libra, and you're back in the zap zone. Mars is there. The Grand Cross is there. You feel it late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, kind of similar to what happened on the 3rd and 4th. But the moon's going by Mars. Did you watch the eclipse? If you watched the eclipse, you couldn't miss that red star about a foot above the eclipsed moon. That was Mars. So you're going to see that again here. If you go out late Saturday night or early Sunday morning before the sun comes up, you'll see the moon on Mars. Can't miss Mars, that red color. It's unlike anything else in the heavens. So you're communicating really well here Saturday night, and then Sunday morning the moon goes by Mars. You want to get physical. But gosh, in the afternoon, here's the opposition to Uranus. The electricity went out, and a square to Pluto, territoriality, people doing power trips. Finally, the square to Jupiter, they're overdoing it. So, if you can't get that work done really early Sunday morning, if you're planning on finishing it in the rest of Sunday, don't plan on that. No. And fires, we call them, in the safety business, we call them sharps and hots. Sharp things and hot things, that's Mars. That's when he's, up to his nasty little stuff. All right. I would be remiss if I did not talk about some of the things that have happened here in this horrendous month. Because there's a lot of violence, a lot of stuff going on. Anyway, I'm here on April 16th. So I'm just going to, I'm only able to report to you what happened in the second week of April. Some of the things, anyway. Some of the things that really disturbed me especially, are there was a report that all the wild bee colonies are gone on the mainland due to the mite, and they're attacking our bees here. No wild bees on the mainland of the USA. Eek! A bug! This is a real bug thing, huh? Yeah. Next, there was a UN report on global warming. Said essentially, boy, we're pretty much screwed. We got to get off our cans and do something because the glaciers are going to melt and the water level's going up. Eek! Next, there was an idea I had about Flight 370, the downed airliner. I'm used to investigating accidents, and this looks to me like no skid marks. And so the people on the airline probably all went to sleep. If carbon monoxide was not the case, low oxygen was, and everybody on the airliner was asleep, just like a carbon monoxide in a truck or a car, and down they went. No skid marks. Which brings me to the FedEx or UPS van, whatever it was, crashed into that bus, and 20 kids died in a flaming flash. Terrible, being burned alive. Well, no skid marks. The driver of the van was already conked out when he crashed head-on into the bus. Another carbon monoxide, huh? People in this so-called investigators, police, accident insurance companies, they're as bad as the psychiatrists for PTSD. So there was another big fire, and they seem to be all around. We had a bus that hit a broken down truck on the side of the road in Veracruz, Mexico. Big fireball, 30 people burned to death. Oh boy. Fire ants on the Big Island, eek, a bug. 73-year-old Mr. Cross, Heil Hitler, shoots at the Jews, 3 people dead. Another Pluto nut. Hawaii has 75% fewer fish than it should have, eek. There was a 7.6 quake in the Solomon Islands, near where I predicted. 8.2 in Chile, near where I predicted. But no big mass things so far. Huge fire in a South American capital. Burned a lot of homes up. Then, let's see, what else did I have here? Oh, today was a ferry in South Korea sunk. 300 people missing, all teenagers. We're having a lot of teenagers killed in buses and things. I had one client, Mr. McCarthy, on Kauai, and he took a small little dog down to the dog park, and there was a big pit bull running around loose, attacked he picked up the little guy, the pit bull got his arm, and he's got a mashed up arm. Police had to come, track down the owner of the pit bull, took the pit bull out and put him down. Wow. We did have an eclipse. It was kind of interesting. And I just thought I'd remind you, an eclipse of the moon like what you saw, usually a queen dies, a great mother dies, okay? I remember the one where Mother Teresa and Princess Diana left after an eclipse of the moon. Eclipse of the sun, important men, a king dies. What else? Oh, okay, here's a little humor for you. Wow, there goes another drone. They can fly all over, but the operators never leave the building. Boy, these drones are fantastic, he says. The drone operators can look down on anything in the world. Yeah, they can watch enemy troops and warn us of any danger. Nothing can hide from them, he says. Nothing. They keep watch every minute on everything, the lucky guys. And then they did a little thing here. Oh, anything going on up there? Any good, I don't know, the drone guys are asking them what's happening. And I guess that's what the joke was. But when I saw this, it was no joke. Because I was in the middle of flaming busloads of people and a whole bunch of things. And then I remembered that, there was a thing about Puakaloa. And what's going on up there? Well, the Army, which was going to go and used to be some artillery practice, is now building a town at Pahakaloa. There's going to be buildings with doors, and they're training the troops not to fight a war like we're used to. They're training the troops to go knock down doors, rush around in there, with their guns out, just like policemen. They're going to go to cities. Now, this is pretty scary. And brings me back to this business of the USA. And the main epiphany I had that scared the hell out of me was I realized the ignorance, and arrogance of the people who did the drug war and have been throwing folks in jail for pot and keeping Woodstock from being members of society. Still can't get a job because you get urine tested. This whole craziness, and it is craziness, comes from ignorance and arrogance. And these people are in charge of our country. They're in charge of laws. They're also in charge of drones. They're in charge of satellites. And now they've got what's called a professional army. These are not draftees anymore, folks. These are Hessians. These are professional guys. They're paid a lot. And they usually pretty much do what their employer says. And we're paying a lot for them. We pay more to the DoD, the largest office building in the world, probably the largest organization in the world, the Department of Defense. It spends more money on defense, so to speak, a whole lot of things involved with defense, than the whole rest of the world does together. So what's this mean? We got all this technology, and we got all this money, and we got all these people being highly paid. Gosh, scares the hell out of me. And now they're building towns to go train troops in at Pohakaloa. I don't know. I think maybe it's time to think about disarming the U.S. That's what has to be done. It has to be disarmed. We got to get rid of all these professional, highly paid troops and all this technology, and we must stop, because there's no way out, folks. If we don't stop, sooner or later, there's going to be a war, and we're not that sophisticated. And I don't think we're getting more intelligent. And I think the guys in the Army are not, highly esteemed people with lots of ethics. These are young guys that pretty much do what they said. Most of them go into the Army because they got no place else to go, and they're sucked in by the big bonus, And then we put some girls in there and shake it all up, and now we got gays running around in there, and they're all highly paid, and whatever you do, anybody that's thinking about joining the armed forces, try to do something. Don't let them do that. That could be what's going to bring this country down more than anything. What danger? We don't have any danger out there. Heck no. What we got is a highly armed bunch of people who maybe aren't too smart, and who take orders from a bunch of other people that are definitely not very smart. They are elected to office, and they are so ignorant of things and so arrogant. They think all they got to do is make a law and everybody just obeys, huh? Yeah. Prohibit alcohol, prohibit pot, geez. Anyway, they're in control of all the nukes. They're in control of all the nukes, folks. The same people that ran the drug war on you control enough to kill the world over 100 times. There's some craziness going on here that I'm recognizing, and boy, it's scaring me a bit. Now you've had that new moon diffusing it all, I probably sound like a ranting maniac. Okay, I got a little Bible stuff that's kind of interesting. Somebody gave me this all of a sudden out of the clear blue. Some man I was helping store some stuff and move, and I got interested in the Matthew 16 quote, because here's Jesus saying, look, you look at the sky, and in the morning it'll be foul weather and the sky is red. O ye hypocrites, he says, you can discern the face of the sky, but can ye not discern the signs of the times? A wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign. There shall be no sign given unto it but the sign of the prophet Jonas. And that's Pisces. That's the whale. That's the name for the zodiac sign of Pisces. Okay, so here's some flat-out astrology, and Jesus is talking about it. And King James kind of slipped by him a little bit. And I realized I wanted to check it out and see if the same words were here. And it's not, they pretty much got it here. O ye hypocrites, you can discern the face of the sky, but can you not discern the signs of the times? Okay, that's astrology, right? So then it came to me that, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, these guys all wrote the story of Jesus independently. So I went looking in Mark, and here it was, But what they got there was, he sighed deeply in spirit and said, "Why does this generation seeketh after a sign?" A sign, folks, means something in, like a comet or something. "Verily I say unto you, there should be no sign given unto this generation." And he left. So, Mark kind of blew it and took the astrology out. Well, he didn't understand it all. So I went to Luke. And Luke, see what he had to say, if he got it better. And here it is. "Oh, when you see the south wind blow, you say there will be heat, and it comes to pass. Ye hypocrites," he says, according to Luke, "you can discern the face of the sky and of the earth. But how is it that ye do not discern this time?" Well, I don't understand that very well either. So then I went and I had this New Testament in modern English was sitting in my bookcase. And so I decided to go after it there and see how well they did. And here's what Matthew had to say. "When the evening comes, you say, 'Oh, fine weather, sky's red.' In the morning you say, 'There will be a storm today. It's threatening.' You know how to interpret the look of the sky, but you have no idea how to interpret the signs of the times." Not bad. "A wicked and unfaithful age insists on a sign. Won't be given to them any sign at all but that of the prophet Jonas." And he turned on his heel and left. Well, they didn't massacre the idea anyway. How about Luke? Luke says in this retranslation, when you see a cloud rising, it's going to be hot, being cold. "You frauds," he says, "you frauds, you know how to interpret the look of the earth and the sky. Why can't you interpret the meaning of the times in which you live?" Well, that's a new translation from Luke. Finally, I go to well, Mark just says in this new translation, "The Pharisees came out, began to argue, wanting a sign from heaven." He gave a deep sigh, Jesus did, and said, "What makes this generation want a sign? I can tell you this, they will certainly not be given one," and he left. Well, my point is, here's one piece of astrology, and it gets translated and retranslated, and the astrology just left and isn't there anymore. Well, very few understood what Jesus was talking about, huh? Remember, when you read this Bible, when they say heavens in the Bible, heaven, the translation back to Aramaic means sky. Yes. Well, come on back next week, folks. I got more interesting things to share.